So what I was going to do is just to give you a brief highlight on an ongoing project we have been conducting to find out how our students are doing. So we have since 2006, we've been asking every year around 1,000 students, bachelor students at their entrance to BI, how they're doing. So we've been mapping all sorts of things: personality, motivation to lead, their interest in power, and so on. So after 5 years of that, we had a database of about 5,000 people who agreed that we could follow them up every 5th year until they're old, which is probably after I get old. What we found now, we had a brush up last year. We were looking at where are all of them now. And the quick facts are as follows. About 93% of them are working full-time. About 5% working part-time, and only 2.5% do not work at all. Every second of our students who are at that time now, just in their 30s, have a management position. 10 to 13% of them in top management. 6% have founded their company where they work, and almost 10% have some sort of ownership to the company where they work. 3/4 of all the students feel that the encounter with practice was as expected. A small group found it easier than expected, but only, I'm happy to say, only 7% felt that this was more difficult than expected. From our point of view as teachers, this whole group as such, 3/4 also felt that their formal education was relevant or very relevant, and only a small fraction did not see it as irrelevant. So what do they like about their jobs? And what we find, which I think is interesting, is that they have a huge focus on challenges. These are people who like learning, they like learning opportunities and the challenges, and salary comes at maybe not the most important level. However, it turns out that these people make actually quite a lot of money. It turns out that I think their average age here is, as we approach 2017, their average age would be around 35 years. And they're already, the majority of them are well above national levels when it comes to income. Quite a lot of them actually earn a lot of money. When it comes to gender, it turns out that the females earn a little bit less, probably as expected. But what I also like to say is that BI, to the extent that we differ from the rest of the society, actually women earn more money after graduating from BI than they would graduating from a different place. So actually, the differences are evening out as a result of BI education, even if the effect is small. If we look at what predicts the salary, which is important to them, what I find extremely interesting is that not the birth year. Normally, there's a lot of people in here. You would think that the older people, because they have been working for longer times, would earn more money. It turns out that it isn't their age. It's the time when they entered BI. That means that their salary level is predictable as a result of entering our education. Moreover, what you can see here is that the effect of the education leaves their parents behind. That means that BI, opposite of what many people think, BI actually contributes to an evening out of incomes in the Norwegian society, because people obviously do not earn money as a function of their parents' salary in themselves. There's a small effect here of the family combined income level, but it's very small. What we find here is, however, that of course personality plays a role, but what I like to point out at the bottom of the table, we can see actually that it turns out that the behaviors that they exhibit in the courses seems to play a big role. That is, measured in income, it looks at least as if the BI education, what they take away from the school, has a great impact on how they're doing later. We ask people when they're coming here for the first year, how is your motivation to lead? That is a scale measuring how motivated they are to take on leadership experiences. And as you might understand, and as you might expect, 19, 20-year-old BI students think that they are God's gift to humanity in terms of they're born leaders, all of them. We have 3 types of leadership motivation. The affective one, I like it because of the kind of work it is. Calculative, I like it because I can earn money on it. And normative, I like this because somebody should do it, more kind of a normative approach. What you can see, which is very interesting, is actually that their motivation to lead is on the decline on all the 3 points in time where we have been following them up. What I call this is the school of hard knocks, which is good. It turns out that they come out there equipped with some ideas and some inspiration, and it turns out that the world is more complex than they thought, so they now have a more, I would say, a balanced approach to their lives. What we can also see, which I think is very interesting, is that their personality changes. On average, they are very extrovert and outgoing when they study. 10 years later, you have a huge reduction here, actually. So they almost turn introvert. But what you can find also is that they get nicer. The agreeableness score goes up. And their conscientiousness score goes up. So what we have are students who, more quiet, stay more to themselves, but they're agreeable and conscientious, and that's it. So this year also, we asked them, how happy are you? We used Diener's measures, which is kind of a very prevalent measure of happiness used all over the world. So just to have a look at it. And what you can see here is that the BI students on a score from 1 to 5 are basically, they're happy. There is a small group of distinctly unhappy people, but on average, there's a huge skew towards the upper levels. So you can see the BI students, 10 years after their studies, on average, they're actually quite happy. Now, what predicts their happiness? And it turns out that, of course, happiness is, I'm sorry to say, today seems not to be related to anything that happened 10 years ago except your personality. However, again, what you find here is the salary level. So, of course, earning money turns out to make people happy. I know, it's actually, you shouldn't be saying that, but it turns out to be a fact. But if you look more closely into the kind of happiness that this gives, you will see something more. You will actually see that if you look in, just looking at what happens now in their lives, you will find actually that their professional challenges are coming back. Their happiness levels are more linked to their professional challenges and their learning opportunities than to salary in itself. This means probably that since a lot of these people have learned at this school to deal with money, there is no surprise in the fact that they also take pleasure in learning or earning money, which I think most people would do anyhow. But nevertheless, they're actually seeing this as their professional field. What I think is fascinating about this is that our students take something out of the education, they apply it when they move out, and it turns out to be a success with them. What I also like to point out, you see the salary there, almost as high as their satisfaction with the salary now is actually the difference in salary from time 1 to time, it should be time 3, if there's a mistake there. We measured how much they claim that their disposable incomes 10 years ago and now, and it turns out that those are extremely happy who were, for some reason, able to improve their social status in terms of economy. So, if we sum it all up, I think we should be proud. BI students are highly employable. That is, our students get a lot of jobs quickly, better than their national age group. I just compared with the SSB numbers. The majority of them will become managers actually quite quickly within graduation. In 10 years afterwards, more than half of them will already be managers. They earn more money than their comparable groups. And what I think is particularly encouraging is that what they take away from BI seems to reduce gender differences, and it reduces the effect of social heritage. There is no discernible effects that we find of their social heritage in how they're doing now. It looks as if the effect of the education is the main determinant of their present success. So they are happy, and as a concluding remark, their happiness is strongly related to the value of their education in working on challenges in real life. I think we should congratulate ourselves on doing this. It looks good. Thank you.